Hey everyone. It's been a while since I've recorded another vlog. There's... obviously there's been a reason behind it. I've been very busy. But at the same time, there's been a couple of things I've been sort of, struggling to kind of come to terms with. And I've been getting a lot of messages from you guys, and asking for certain topics, but for some weird reason, whenever I try to think about them, you see, I'm the kind of person that struggles with it's not so much insecurity, it's more because I am quite confident. It's more I don't trust my own abilities sometimes, in the sense that I get stuck in a mental loop where I tend to be negative towards myself and quite hard on myself as well. And I keep, thinking, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just do this? Why can't I just animate this? Why can't I just talk about this? Why can't I just deal with this email? Why can't I just reply to that or deal with that? And it got me to thinking about the topic of giving up and what happens to us. I probably have said this to some people before. Probably some people know. Probably some of you don't. I don't know. But these vlogs are always about honesty and just trying to be myself, really. I think that was one of the biggest issues. I was just, it's almost like it's a victim of its own success in a sense. I'm just worried about how it gets received. And I was just randomly watching this video that appeared on my timeline. And it was this speech by Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I know my brother's a huge fan of his. He's been reading his book since the age of 15, and it's the reason why he got into bodybuilding. And so I sent him the video, and he said, yeah, that he's read that before in his book, and it was basically just like his method of thinking. And as he was going through it, there were things in there that I thought, well, I do that, I do that, I do that, I do that, and it's like he says this is his roadmap to success. What it is was basically it starts off with saying have a vision. So you need to aim for something, to target something, and think big. So don't just say to yourself, I want to just be an animator. You say, well, yeah, I want to be an animator, and I'm gonna be successful at it, and I'm gonna reach my goals, and I'm gonna become, whatever your goals are. Think big. Don't just think small. And the third one is ignore the naysayers. Now, that's the one that kind of struck a chord with me, because I thought that I ignored the naysayers, but it turns out I kind of don't. And I'm one of the naysayers sometimes. I sometimes say it's not gonna, what is this, it's not possible, it's not possible. And to be honest, I'm not a businessman, right? My whole life I've always been an artist, and this is my very, very first time kind of dealing on the business side of things, and it's not easy. I'm telling you that. Success to me has very little to do with whatever it is that you think you're doing. For me, it seems to me like it's strength of character, and not giving up. Put it simply. How many people do you know? I don't know of anyone, right, who is successful, who didn't struggle, who didn't have a very, very tough time at it. And I'm not saying that Anim Dojo is successful yet. I'm not saying it's not gonna be successful. All I'm saying is that even though we launched officially in January, I've been at it since July last year, and there have been so many ups and downs. There have been days where I sort of told myself, is this really gonna happen? Is this really working? And it, you know, you do get the thought, you know, throw in the towel. But you know, going through the rest of the list, it's, you know, after ignore the naysayers, he says work your ass off. I do that, you know, I work my ass off, you know, I work tirelessly. And it says give back, you know. If Anim Dojo isn't giving back, I don't know what is, you know. This is about the artist, it is about the student, the struggling animator. This isn't about anything else. So just the whole concept of ignoring the naysayers, ignoring that negativity, ignoring the disbelief, ignoring the fact that it might not happen, ignore, like, all that, it's a waste of space in your head, it's a waste of space in your capacity to deal with everything else you have to deal with. You know, we're dealing with, like, rejection, we're dealing with, you know, trying to improve ourselves, we're dealing with, you know, we all have our struggles, you know, like, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but, you know, I have generalized anxiety disorder. I deal with that. The last thing I need is to give in to that negative thinking that either comes from within or from others. And, you know, you guys don't see some of the things that we sometimes have to deal with, you know, some of the comments, the questions, the cancellations, you know, there's so many things that can easily just trip a person and make them doubt. But honestly, after watching that video, you know, and I had to talk with my brother, I had to talk with a couple of my friends as well, you know, that has been my weakness all along, the ignoring the naysayers. I am so, you know, those of you who have met me will say, oh, you don't come across at all as someone who is either insecure or has any of these kinds of issues. Well, it's just because I'm really good at my ability to talk publicly. I'm good at being able to carry myself. But it doesn't mean that the thoughts don't go in there. It doesn't mean that I don't still have to process them somehow. And that's where it hit home for me. And I was thinking to myself, why am I struggling then with just a simple concept of just making a vlog? And I realized it's because I was my own naysayer. I was the one who was saying, what is this that you're doing? This doesn't... But then I hear from you guys and you say that it makes, you like it makes sense, it helps. You know, I get private messages, people telling me how it's helped them, or how it's done that for them. And it just makes me feel, you know what, I don't want to give up. I don't care if some people think this is silly, honestly. I don't care if this bothers people as well. You know, and I think that's something I'm going to be embracing a whole lot more from now on. I know what I'm talking about. I do have a vision. I know exactly where I want Anim Dojo to go, and I am thinking big. I do want this to be a game changer. I do want this to be the way that we can, you know, yeah, we're still the small guy, we're still the underdog at the moment, but, you know, so was every successful whatever venture, company, whatever you want to call it. Everything starts small, but doesn't mean you can't think big. And definitely going to start ignoring the naysayers. You know, you should too. Whoever's telling you you can't do this or you can't do that or that's not possible, or just ignore them. You know, there's an interesting thing that they said that Arnold mentioned in his speech, and I really resonated. He said that when he tried to get jobs in Hollywood, they told him, "You're too big. Your muscles are huge. You can't be a leading man." And they told him as well, "Your accent is too foreign. You can't be a leading man in America." And it turns out that, you know, after he started to work hard and he ignored them and all that, when he landed a couple of roles, then eventually landed Conan the Barbarian, one of the comments that was said about Arnold after they filmed the movie was that if they did not have Arnold, they would not have been able to make the film. They would have had to build someone for that role because of how muscular it needed to be. And in terms of Terminator, when they said his line, his famous line, "I'll be back," they said, had it not had his accent, he would not have sounded so robotic. So what people said were a liability turned out to be his assets. And that is exactly how I need to start looking at things, and how you should start looking at things if you don't. You know, I've got generalized anxiety disorder, which causes me to overthink, to overanalyze, to think negatively sometimes. But you know what? That is also an asset. You know, I believe the reason why I can animate fast, honestly, is just part of the fact that my brain is just wired. It's constantly like analyzing. You know, it's forced me to overcome my fear with just wanting to speak publicly. And yeah, it's created Anim Dojo. So, you know, be good to yourselves. Don't stress out, and just, you know, be yourselves. So happy animating, and don't give up. You could do it.